today's lesson we'll be going over HTML. Yeah. Okay. So also for this course totally, I would advise we download the SoloLearn app. If you are using your laptop or your desktop, you can just check out their website and follow their course. It's free and it's simple and straightforward. Actually, I learned my first two languages from this same platform too, and it's very simple to understand their flow, and it works hand in hand with the whole curriculum we had planned out for this course. Okay, let's go dive in. We have what we're going to be talking about today is basically just HTML, and I'll just do a quick search on Google. What does HTML mean? So first of all, we have HTML is a standard language for documents designed to be displayed in a web browser. It can be assisted by technologies such as Cascade Styling Sheet and scripting language such as JavaScript. Okay, basically what it means is HTML is a markup language that is used to build web pages, or one of the languages used to build web pages. So in what that means, in other words, is for us to understand HTML, we have to understand the fact that it uses stuff. Should I say stuff? Basically, it just uses tags to identify whatever it's going to be doing. So I always signify or liken HTML to a sandwich. So basically, if we all remember what a sandwich is, we have the bread. So we have the bread. How did they spell this? I can't remember. But let's just go back. So we have the bread and we have whatever we want to put in between. So the sauce or whatever it is, and we have an bread covering it. So in that way, we understand that we have two sides, and in the middle we have more content in the middle. I guess that's the best way to explain it, but it might still sound confusing for now, so we just dive into code and explain how all the thing goes on. So in the previous class where I discussed the introduction to web development, I listed three languages used to build the front end of your website, and I listed HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So that doesn't change, still the same thing. But what we need to understand is that between these three languages, each and every one of them have their specialties and have what they're actually designed for. So if you look down here, you notice that okay, it's used to design documents. So HTML basically helps us to create a structure for our website, while CSS gives the styling and JavaScript the behavioral part of the website. So each and every one of these languages have their role to play, so you have to understand each and every one of them properly to be able to build good and recommended websites, if I would say. So let's talk less and let's just dive into code. So first of all, I have my VS Code opened already. So I already did a video on the softwares I'll be using throughout the whole course, so you can just get VS Code on your laptop, and let's move on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use VS Code to do almost everything I need to do. I don't want to be using my file explorer. Normally I can just come over here and go to my desktop and create a folder called Cyberscode. So in this folder, I want to keep every of my other documents in this folder. So let me just say this is for HTML, and yeah, that's it. So okay, sorry, it's saved as new folder, so let me make it HTML, and I want to do everything I'm going to be doing on HTML. I want to make it in this folder. So basically I want to open this folder with Visual Studio Code. So I can either choose to do this, so right click and say open with code here, or I can come down here and say open folder, or I can click on this icon here, the Explorer icon, and click on open folder. So I'll use this method. I just say open folder, and I go to desktop, and I'll find CyberSquad folder. Now I'll see HTML, and once I click on HTML, I just click on select folder. So voila, it should open. And 5, yeah, it's opened. So basically, you might have this screen up first after you installed your VS Code, but same thing, I just have to close this. I don't need this. So we have an empty folder because there's nothing here because it's an empty folder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a file, but I don't want to go back to this folder here to be doing all that. So I want to do all that from here. I can actually create a folder here, but I just have to show the way to do that from our file explorer. So I'm going to create a new file. So this icon means new file, this icon means new folder, this is to refresh Explorer, and this is to collapse folders in Explorer. So if you want to just show the content of each folder in an Explorer, you can do that, and if you want to close all of them, you can also do that from here. So but what I just want to do is to create a new file. So I click on this new file. So the file I'm going to create, I'm going to call it index.html. So index. Now, when we are creating a file, you have to understand something. Every file has to come with an extension. So the extension tells your computer or the browser, whatever it is, what type of file or what's the content of the file is. So in this case, it's the HTML. So I'll say .html, and I click enter. Now, yours might not show you this icon 5 here because I use an extension to do that. So if you want to get the extension, you can just come over to the extension tab here, and I click and just search for icon. I guess VS Code icon. Okay, so yeah, so VS Code icon. So let's just make it this way. VS Code icon. So this is the extension I used. So you can just install it, and that's it. It should fix all that for you. So back to it. Now, earlier I explained that HTML itself is a markup language that uses tags to perform instructions or give instructions to the computer. So essentially, whenever you hear a markup language, what it does is uses probably symbols. In the case of HTML, tags. In the case of Markdown language, I think that was created by GitHub, I guess. It uses symbols, different symbols. It can be your star, you can say star, or you can say maybe exclamation mark, or you're greater than. All these have a role to play when you are working with a markup language. But in this case of HTML, we use something called tags, and these tags help us to do all these things. So first of all, we have to understand that to create a tag in HTML, I can make this bigger, I guess. Control Alt Shift. Sorry. Okay. I'll make it this bigger so you'll be able to see. So first of all, in HTML, how do we understand if something is a tag? We have less than, and we can, let me just type tag here, and I close this. So automatically VS Code does something for us. Sorry, hold on, I need to pause the video for a sec. Okay, sorry, I had to fix the noise issue. So this is how we identify a tag. So let me just make space, and if you notice, when I typed this part, this other part was automatically written for me. So it's called autocomplete, or probably emit, wherever you find it. Well, what VS Code just did for me is to complete this tag. So I'll explain by just making this opening tag and call this closing tag. Yep. So first of all, whenever you see this less than and this greater than and any text in between, that is automatically known to be a tag. So the combination of these three together is a tag. So each and every one of these tags have their specific should I say instructions that they pass to the computer. So maybe assuming this was, let me go to the new line and say a p tag. So what this is, this is a paragraph tag. What am I type? PH, I guess. Yeah, this is a paragraph tag. So what this p tells the computer is this tag is a paragraph. So everything written in between here to the closing of this tag. So you might be thinking the less than and greater than is the opening and closing. No, these two of them combined together is the opening. Now, whenever you have the less than and the forward slash with the tag, whatever tag name or whatever it's called in between, and the greater than, that's the closing tag. So, and note, only tags that are open that eventually need to be closed. Some tags can be opened and they don't need to be closed. They are just written that way probably. So this simply means that this p here tells the computer that this line I'm writing here is a paragraph. So how do we check that? First of all, I want to just delete this. So, and I will save. And what I'm going to do next is go to my file explorer and open this HTML folder. So if you see here, you notice that this is the index.html file I created here. So I will just, I want to open this with my Edge browser. So open with Microsoft Edge. So you see the same text we wrote here. This is a paragraph tag, but we did not see the p tag part we wrote here because this is just the instruction part. This is actually the output. You understand? So it doesn't need to show the instruction, it just needs to show us the output because it's the output we need, if that's explainable enough. So what I'm going to be doing next is, the class is basically broken down in sections and you can just follow along. So we'll be going over text formatting for now. So another thing I want to do is to delete all this and make it a bit smaller. So now, basically, you just can't start writing HTML by saying p tag and moving on like that. That is not right. It would work, but it would break at some point. When I mean to break is it would not work at some point. Yeah. So what I'm going to be doing is, there's a certain way you have to write HTML. There's a certain structure that HTML itself follows. So if you remember back in the days when we were learning how to write letters in school, we were told that every letter has to have an address, a salutation, a title, body, conclusion, or closing remark, whatever it's called. I can't remember very well. So same thing applies to writing HTML or generally writing code itself, because there's always a syntax. It's called syntax, or there's always a way you have to write these things. So first of all, you have to understand that to make the computer understand better that you're writing HTML in some certain part, you have to tell the computer that, okay, I'm writing HTML, nigga. So this is how we have to tell the computer. So there's a tag called HTML tag. So I'll just go over each tag and what they do. But I'm not going to go over every tag because there are so many tags out there and there are some tags that are not really useful to you. I'm going over the most used tags and how we use them best. So first of all, we have the HTML tag. So I have HTML and I open and close this. So what this essentially tells the computer is whatever is in between this HTML tag, it's my HTML document. So now after that, we split the whole thing into two. So we have the head and the body. So similar to the way we write letters. So we have head, and let me go outside of that line, and body. So if you notice something, when I wrote the HTML and I pressed enter, the next line didn't start directly under this HTML where it started from. This is called indenting. So this helps us to keep our code clean and make it easy to debug. So debug simply means when you're trying to find error in your code, I guess. So after we have our head and body, you might be wondering, do you have our eyes? And well, no, it's just the way we write our HTML code. So basically, these tags, they have their duties. So first of all, the head tag helps us to link our HTML document to other documents that we might be using in the code. So that's like our CSS, our JavaScript files. And also it helps us to keep some data that the browser or other parts of the website would need. So that might still be a bit confusing. You don't have to bother yourself about that. In the course of the whole program, we understand better how to use them and what they do. So for the body part, it's basically where every other part of the website, every other part of the website that you see is being shown. So where your navbar, your menu, whatever it's called, your slider, all that are written inside the body. So for example, let me break this down better. So I'm going to be using another tag called the title tag. So title, and I'll call my title Cyber Squad. So save. Now if you noticed, when I saved, I had this spacing between in my code. This is made possible by an extension called Prettier. I remember to tell us to install that extension at the beginning of class. So Prettier. So just install this and it helps you to fix all those issues. Now, before I show you what this does, I have to show you what the website looks like before that time. So first of all, we notice that we have a paragraph here and we just have the name of our file here, index.html. If we look up here to this tab, so let me close this. We don't need all these tabs anymore. So we just have two tabs. So if you look up here, you see the index.html. So that's basically the tag, the name of our file. So I want to refresh since I've saved, and you see what changed. The index.html changed to Cyber Squad. So you understand that this title tag is what is being displayed in this part of every website. So maybe you're on Facebook, so it's the title tag that actually handles whatever is being shown here. So basically that's what the title tag does, to give the title to our website. So I will leave the head part of our website for now. So since I'm not going to be touching any part of that, so I will just, if you see whenever you hover beside a tag, you see this arrow down button. So I'm not going to be touching any part of the head. I don't want to bother myself about that. I can just click on that. So that covers, it's just how I put it, minifies every other part that I don't want to see. So what I'm going to do next is back to our plan. So we have for text formatting. So just going over the basic tags for text formatting, and I will start from our previous introduce tag, which is the paragraph tag. So this is a paragraph. I'm always making mistake spelling this word. So, and I save, and so sorry, what I used to do that was alternate tab. Okay, so you need that. So I refresh, Control R to refresh on your browser. So this is a paragraph, just straightforward enough. So to see the effect of all this, I can choose to either have one paragraph and edit through the whole paragraph, or I'll break it down this way. I'll break it down by choosing each tag and showing the effect on each line. So maybe let's just see if I do p tag again, and since I don't want to be typing text every time and I'm always making mistake with that, there's a solution to that. So there's something called lorem ipsum. You must have seen it somewhere maybe. So I can just say lorem. Now it's basically dummy text. So I just need a certain amount of dummy text, maybe 20 or 30. So let me just say lorem 20. When you type lorem 20, so there's something called emit abbreviation. If you look here, you will see emit abbreviation. So what this means is that there are some already snippet of code. When I mean snippet, like some lines of code already written somewhere, or some instructions that have been passed built into Visual Studio Code that helps me make life easy for me when I'm writing code. So when I say lorem 20 and I click on tab, it gives me 20 different words dummy words, they don't mean anything. And you can check it out. It doesn't really mean anything. Right? Some people say it's Latin, but I don't think it means anything. So this text, I can format it so we see the effect of some of these tags in HTML. So what I'm just going to do is to save, and let's see what it looks like. So it's just plain dummy text. So what I'm going to be doing next is to try out some tags on it. So I'm going to pick this, and I'm going to try this. So Ctrl X to remove the text, and do B tag and paste it back there. Save and go check in our browser. So if you notice, the Facilis text here is bold. Should I say bold? Is bolded correct? Sorry, bold. The Facilis text is bold, and there are some other tags you can try out. I'm going to do the same for this. So X and say big. Sorry, that's not how to spell big. Big and V. Or undo. V and save. So you see this text is a bit bigger. Now you might be wondering why this big is in red. I would explain that in a bit. Now first of all, you have to understand that every language, or basically HTML itself, has different versions. So it's just like the apps you have on your phone, where you have version 1 and it tells you to upgrade to version 2 and so on and so on. These versions have new features, new additions to them, all this kind of stuff. Same thing works in programming languages. So HTML has different versions. I think currently now it's version 5.2 if I'm very specific. But we are currently using version 4, and you might be wondering, how do you know when you're using version 4? Basically, it's by this tag here. So when I just have HTML without having doc type HTML, without declaring doc type HTML, it tells the HTML, or sorry, the browser, that I'm using HTML version 4. So, and in version 4, this tag would have worked fine. In fact, it still works fine till now. But the thing there is, there's already a better way to write this tag. So we don't use big tag anymore. There are other I think it's, I can't remember the exact tag that is used in place of big, but there are other tags that can do this big better. So it's advisable not to use this big, but I still use it from time to time. And there are some other tags like that, but we'll go over them shortly. So I'm going to do the same thing for this and use the I tag. So let's see what the I tag does. So the I tag makes this text italic. So I is for italic, and there's some other tags out there, and let me do something quick here. So let's try a bit of math in our code. So I'm going to open a new paragraph again, and in this paragraph I want to just say 12 times, so I'm going to use times 13, sorry, why am I saying 13? I'm typing 12. Whatever the answer is, let's just say the answer is 56, and save and check in our browser. So I have this 12 times 13 equals 56, but I want to make it a bit more complicated, like how our mathematics teacher used to do. So I want to do 12 times 13 raised to the power of 5. So if I say 12 times 13 raised to the power of 5, normally in programming in some other language we use this for raised to the power of 5, and yeah, that's the way it should look like in most languages. I guess C# does this and some other languages, but I don't want to do it like that. I want to do it the exact way to look like in mathematics. So how do I do that? There's a tag called superscript and subscript. So superscript is to make the text smaller but on top, and subscripts make the text smaller at bottom. So let me show you how to do that. So I see sub, so SUP is short form of superscript. So sub 5, save and refresh. Now you see the change here. We have 5 actually being the power of 13. So 12 times 13 to the power of 5 equals to 56. That's not correct, but you get what we're trying to do here. So there are other tags out there, but you can still discover them. I'll be dropping a link in the comments below to check out other tags, and also I'll probably bring some of them together in a document and share it on the group. But we get the gist here. That's what these tags can be used for. I don't want to bother ourselves too much, but what I want us to understand is every tag has their uses. So, and it's not a must you have to know all of them. You can just know a few and how to use them. It will really help. But it's advisable not to cram anything in programming, because when you do, it's not going to help you anyway, because there's Google there. You can always check online. It's not an exam, although yeah, there's some exam or competitions in programming, but it's just simple. Just take it slow. Learn as much as you can learn. Take it in your own pace, and you get the hang of it. Now, I'm going to be showing us one important tag we need to use in our code. And that tag is the comment tag. So what does this comment tag do? Help us to do? Because basically, when you are writing code or you are working in a company, you would work with different people, and you don't get the chance, or you don't get a chance, sorry, to talk to them about what you just did in your code every time. But you can use comments to drop this message to them. Even you yourself, it helps you yourself, because sometimes you might write a code and you can come back to it 3 months later and you don't even remember what exactly you wrote there. So comments help us to explain what we are writing in our code. So it's advisable to use comments at every point down the line when you are writing code. It keeps proper documentation of your code. So how do you write comments? We use less than, the exclamation mark, 2 dash, and Visual Studio Code has already done its job to auto complete it for me. So I can just say this is a paragraph tag and save. So basically this tells me that okay, this next line is a paragraph tag, and that's it. So if I check and refresh here, you see nothing changes. But that's where the comment becomes interesting, because this comment is just for the people reading the code, not for the people viewing the output. So this helps you and your other colleagues working on the project. So, and there's another tag we need to learn how to use, which is the heading tag. So before I do that, let me just use comments to tell myself heading tag, tags, and next line I'm going to say h1. So we have 6 heading tags, so h1 to h6. So h1 is the biggest, so I close that and I say heading 1 and save, refresh. So we have h1, and the same thing goes for, let me just skip a bit and go to h3 and save heading 3. So you see h1 is bigger than h3, and so if we go down and skip 2 again, says h6 heading 6. So you see h6 is smaller than h1. So that's how it works. So there's no other tag after h6, so h6 is the smallest, and that's basically it. So there are other tags we can still discuss. Now, in case, let's assume now you're writing and you want everything to just go to the next, you just want to have a straight line here to demarcate that this is the end of the heading. So how do we do that? Comment again, straight straight line, or let me call it horizontal line. So the horizontal line tag is the HR tag, and save and refresh. So you see there's a straight line from here down to the end of the screen. So that's the horizontal line. So that's what that tag does to help us to create that demarcation between the heading or whatever you want to use demarcation for. But in this case, we're using it to demarcate between the heading and other tags. So now another tag we would just quickly go over. I think I skipped that I use a lot. It's also we did for the superscript, so let's just quickly do for the subscript. So let me say base, let's say the answer is equal to 56 base 5. So sub 5, sorry, sub, not son, sub 5 and refresh. So you see this is a subscript, so subscript, and this is a superscript. So you understand how to use them, and there are other tags, but let's skip that and let's go over to attributes in HTML. So attributes basically provide additional information to each tag or what the tag should do. So let's go back here and create a new paragraph. Let me make this a bit smaller so my code doesn't look too messy. So I say P, and in this paragraph I want to just make, say, hello world, and save. Yeah. Hello world, correct. So I refresh. So you see our hello world is here. And what I want to do now is to make this hello world come to the center of the page. So how do I do that? I use attributes to do that. So in this tag, I can, immediately after the P of the first tag, I can put space and say align, and say equal to center. Refresh and check it. So you find our hello world in the center of the page. So that's basically what this align tells it to do. So it says align this particular P tag or whatever is in the P tag to the center. So this is also not a good way to do it. That's why it's in red. So that's one of the benefits of using Visual Studio Code. It can actually find out if you are making some mistakes that you shouldn't make in your code. And there are other attributes for each tags, but I'll just going over the basic, since that's what this class is all about for now. So I can have in my HR tag here where I just, if you remember, it just went from the end of this line to the other end. So I can limit it and just say, okay, I want it to just show for maybe 50% of the whole width of the page. I don't want the whole one, so I can say width and say 50%, save and refresh. So you see it took just 50%. So if you might not be able to measure this, but this is actually 50% of the width of the page, so it's correct. And also we can still make this align to the right if we don't want it to align to the center, and check that out. So it's to the right. So there are other ways you can do that. Now let's leave formatting text for a bit and jump right onto images. So how do we add images to our website? So to give a bit of sense to what we're doing, what I'm going to do first is to get the image I'll be using. So I will just go straight over to my pictures, and I will use this picture I took at Experience last year. So copy, Ctrl C, and go over to my desktop, and in my Cyberscore folder I'll find my HTML folder, and I just don't want to paste it here. So if I paste it here, I want to rename this, so I just say img1 and press enter. So if you notice here, I have this, the type here is showing JPG file. So I can just right click on it and say properties down there, and I have type of file JPG and .jpg. So I want us to take note of this. So we're having .jpg here. So it will make us not make the mistake that most of us do some of the time. So this .jpg, I will just, after doing that, go back to my Visual Studio Code, and let's add image to all this. So first of all, to add an image, let me comment this also. Image tag. So add an image, I can say img, which simply means image. src means source. So if I press enter, and now I want to type the source, which is like the URL where the image is located. So the image is still located within the same folder where my index.html file is located. So I don't need to locate too far. I can just say img one dot. Now I have to call the exact format of the image, which is JPG. Now I'm going to add another attribute to this image tag, which is alt, an alternative text. So what this does is, in case the image doesn't load, the text is shown, so to explain what was supposed to be there or what the image is up. So I can just say experience last year, and close that up and save and refresh my browser. So the image is quite big, really big. So what I'm going to do is to give this image width and height from what we learned in attributes. So I'll say width, and I want to use the width by, maybe let's say make it 40% of the actual width. So save and refresh. So now this is the image we added to our HTML document. So I reduce the width using the attribute, and also alt is an attribute here. Width is also an attribute. src is also an attribute, so which is source. They're all attribute of the image tag. So I think that explains better how attributes can be used. And there are some tags that you can't really use them without using attributes. Image is one of them. You can't really use the image tag without attributes. So let's take a pause on image for a bit and let's go over to links. So assuming I want to link, maybe make a button here for people to, whoever likes this picture, to check out my website. So what I can do simply is, so comment again, link tag, and say, so for the link tag we have some, it's called a tag space. Now I'm going to give it an attribute, which is href, and the href is the link where you want the users to be redirected to. So I can say https://cars.com.ng, and the text. So I close this, and if you notice, there's another close tag. So this is where what I want to be written there. So check out my website out. Sorry, my website, and save and refresh. So you see the link here, which is check out my website. But if you look down bottom left, you will see that it's showing the link of my website. So if I want to open this in a new tab, so I'll just right click and open a new tab. So you see, this is the exact link I added to that place. So this is my website, and that's it. So that's how to add a link to your HTML document. So we'll be taking a pause on link also, and moving on to list, adding list. So I would like to do that down here. So sorry. So basically, there are two types of lists. We have the ordered list and unordered list. So I'll first of all go over the ordered list. To write our ordered list, we say OL to signify ordered list. OL, O stands for order, L stands for list. And in that OL, I have to, each of the item are identified by LI. So I can just say 1 and save, and LI again and say 2, LI again and say 3, save and refresh. And if you scroll down, you have 1. Now, if you remember, we didn't type this 1 in numeric form here. We didn't type a 2 and we didn't type a 3. That's what a list does. So it can give us the ordered version. So ordered means no matter what you're writing, it's going to get the exact number that's supposed to follow after that. So 1, 2, 3, and so on. So let's see what the unordered list is. So I don't want to stress myself, so I can just copy all this and paste it here and change this O to U, and I'll do that for the close tag and save. Refresh. So if you notice, we just have black dots here. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And the difference here is this doesn't need to be ordered. So it doesn't need to have 1, 2, 3 because we said we don't want it to be ordered. So we said unordered list. And this is 1, 2, 3. Now basically we can even change what is shown here, but that's when we get to CSS. The difference between an ordered list and an unordered list is just the O and the U. Straightforward. Now after that, let's quickly touch tables. So to start with tables, we have to definitely type the table tag itself. And in the table tag, we have a TR tag, which simply stands for table row. So every table, if you remember, every table has a row and a column. So for after the TR tag, we have the TD tag. So I can just say item 1. And I don't stress myself, so I can just copy and paste this a couple times. Paste, save, and check this out. So if you notice, we have item 1 here, item 1 here, and item 1 here. We are not releasing anything. So to make us see what the table actually looks like, I'm going to give the table itself an attribute. So I can just say border 1 pixel and save and refresh. So now you can see that we have an actual line that we didn't have to draw because HTML itself can handle that. So we have item 1, item 1, item 1. So I'm going to just duplicate this a couple of times also. So you can say save and refresh. So we have 3 rows and 3 columns for our table. So you understand that this is basically how we create tables, but we can make our table a bit more interesting than what it is right now. So if you notice, when you have the tables in Excel, if we are familiar with a bit with Excel, every table has to have like the main title. Probably just say this is for numbers, this is for boys, for girls, and that's it. So what I'm going to be doing now is to create that. Now first of all, I'm going to delete this first line, or maybe just add. Let me just add. And I have table head, so T head, and in my T head, I want to have TH. So I'm saying number. And the next one, I'm going to be having TH. I'm saying age. and the third I'm gonna have in th. I'm saying yeah, fresh. And if you see, we have NOH and yeah. So these are automatically made bold because they are the heading part of the table itself. So you understand that this helps us to identify that okay, this is the heading and these other things are just elements in the whole table. Now, what if I want to merge these two columns together like we can do in a spreadsheet? So how do I do that? First of all, I have to understand that okay, this is a row and this is another row and this is another row. So I didn't use my comment for the table. My bad. Save. So to merge, let me make this a bit simpler and say 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Save and refresh. So what I want to do next is to merge cell 5 and cell 6 together. So we have cell 5 and 6 on in the same row. So I'm going to first of all delete, or better still, yeah, delete this. And I can just make this a comment. So I can say Ctrl K and Ctrl C. So it comments that out so it doesn't show. So you see we have an empty space here. So I'm going to make this item 5 take over the whole space here. So I'll say to do that that means I want to take over 2 columns. So to do that I'll say colspan, I'll give an attribute of colspan and I'll say equal to 2. Save and refresh. If you notice there is no any demarcation between these two, I can as well add more text to it for you to see how it works. Save and refresh. So you see it takes over that whole space, which would have not happened before. It's because we merged those 2 columns together. So if we want to do the same thing for a row, we can as well merge this whole row together. Let me pick 1 and 4. And should I make 1 and 4? Okay, let me just make a new row below and say row span. Sorry. Sorry, 2. Yeah, it didn't work as expected. Or it did, but sorry, hold on, let me just confirm something. What if I let me comment this out. But not to waste our time, let's just leave row span. I think there's a way you have to do row span. I really can't remember for now. So let's do something interesting. Let's give each cell color. So I can say BG color and say red. Save aqua. Save and refresh. So I just gave each only this cell a color, so you can actually mess around with that. So basically I think I've been able to go over the basics of HTML with these tags. There are more tags out there. You can find out and discover new ones and mess around with them. It would help you out to learn more. And in the next tutorial, I'll be going over HTML5. Thank you very much and have a nice day. Also, please don't forget to subscribe because we need more subscribers. And if you have any question, you can drop them in the comments.